Sports Night Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. Now, it's Tuesdays. You asked for it. You said, Andile, at least till the end of the World Cup, let's have Rugby Tuesdays. On Monday, yesterday already, so many of you wanted to speak rugby from the weekend, and we said, hey, let's park it. Well, today is the day, 16 or rather 18:45. We take your calls and speak all things rugby with Renier Swart, I see he's already on the line, and Sephaka, both of them already on the line. Renier Swart, I mean, unbelievable. It's almost as if South Africans have just found out who Renier Swart is. He was trending heavily on Twitter with people saying there's this man who's speaking Afrikaans, Tswana, Sotho, and all sorts of languages all in one broadcast. I'll give you a taste of what Renier Swart is all about. But what you've just heard now in the kickoff, Kaizer Chiefs coach Molefe Ntseki speaking about an induction. This is something that Mkwanza on Fridays always says. Kaizer Chiefs is a different beast. Doesn't matter how big you are, wherever it is that you come from. Kaizer Chiefs will humble you. So he says, no, there needs to be an induction. You can't just put, as good as Ox was at his previous club, you can't just throw him in at Kaizer Chiefs. You have to induct him. Are we going to see him start today's match? As Kaizer Chiefs is in action today, of course. They're going to be taking on Cape Town City. We'll have to wait and see when the 11s are out. I'll read them to you. Let's take a break. When we come back, it's Rugby Tuesdays. I'd love to know from you, but I know a lot of you also want to know, are the Springboks through to the next round? What do they need to do to get through? What are the permutations looking like for the world champions to get through? My opinion and my thoughts right now, we're not looking like the best team in the world. We're not looking like the champions. I'll also tell you the new ratings. The other wise man on Sports Night Amplified with Andile, Mazola Molefe, sending me the starting 11 and saying, hey, here it is. He starts. So Ox does start. He does start today with a jersey number 5 that he'll be wearing. But you've also got Itumeleng Khune, who starts and captains the team. Dove Edmilson starts. Is that a good last 2 games, I think it is. Yeah, 2 games that he's already had a good showing. Ditlokwe starts, Ngobo starts, Frosler starts, Mart starts. No place for Msimangwe in this team. You've got Statuloska Medem, Castillo, the Stiletto starts. Tetwa, like I've said. Christian Saile, a lot of you asking questions, but also I think he's had a good showing the last couple of games. So he starts. He's been rewarded with a start there. You've got Dupree, who, in many people's opinion, and I would understand when they say that, is one of the best players at Kaizer Chiefs right now. And then up front, Pule Modi as well, wearing jersey number 13. That is the Kaizer Chiefs starting 11. Get to Champions League. There are fixtures today. FC Copenhagen taking on Bayern Munich. You've got Manchester United playing Galatasaray. You've got Lens taking on Arsenal. You've got PSV Eindhoven taking on Sevilla. You've got Union Berlin taking on SG Braga. You've got Napoli taking on Real Madrid. And then in Group D, you've got Salzburg taking on Real Sociedad. You've got Inter taking on Benfica. Those are some of the matches that you can catch this evening in the Champions League. Let's take a very quick break. When we come back, they're already on the line. We've got Renier Swart, as well as the man that you watch on television, giving you SABC's broadcast of the World Cup, Lawrence Sephaka.
Time Lileru. Colette Lata Killing, Baetere, Africa Bora, Kabauchak Peleo, Pelating Yataboha Capella, Yako Hendricks Atsak Pelating, Aitabukisa, Williams, long pass, Haita, Kabutele Fella, Isako, Valileru, Mono tweeting, Mitsamiko and Lee. Wat tola fella ay ba fatse Dion Furi tsak natin kay puso to kumuraw ke kato fella ko ke ya buela ka ko la bone Jesse Krill akra khwele go tsa mo makonyo ga khorometsana e ya buela ka ko la khwe Jesse Krill tsa ay ba fatse etsebe so teatre van die doelen af Suid-Afrika Moster alles op die doellyn Sephaka kwam daar en is 'n 3 onder die paal reg langs die regte paal.
Why do we always play on Sundays? Because we cannot celebrate. Tomorrow is Monday. Because people cannot do prize tonight. South Africa is closing now. Let's say goodbye, Pool B. This is our last game.
Well, it was our last game, and how it ended is South Africa 49, a bonus point score to 18 of Tonga. Tries coming from Renier opening it up, and you got Kenan Moody, Dion Fourie, Jesse Creel, Billy Leroux, as far as Marco van Staden and Kwacha Smith. Conversions 7 out of 7 from Andre Pollard, who started the match and converted all 4, and Mani Liebok, who then took after that and converted 3 out of 3 as well. What does it look like in our pool, which is Pool B? At the moment, after 4 matches played, South Africa sit with 15 points with 4 matches played. We've played all our games. Ireland, with 3 matches played, have 14 points, but they have to play Scotland, who also are sitting with 10 points after 3 matches. Tonga and, of course, Romania already eliminated from the competition. 2 of these teams are going to go through. And when you speak about 2 of these teams, you're speaking about some of the best teams in the world. This group was always going to be difficult. We had spoken about how difficult this group was going to be. And when you look at the world rankings, because you do know they change as times are going, Ireland still sitting number 1, France at number 2, South Africa dropped to number 3, New Zealand at number 4. Maintaining their 5th place is Scotland. Guys, I don't want to talk rugby by myself because I've got the best to do it. Renier Swart, Afrikaans, Setswana and English commentator at the SABC, alongside former Springbok prop in Sephaka. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time, and welcome to Metro FM Sports Amplified with Andile.
Thank you very much, Andile. Good evening to you.
And before we look forward and start speaking about the permutations, gents, I'd love to get your views and your thoughts on the match that we've just seen versus Tonga. The scoreline, the tactics, some of the players that came out, the big conversation, Pollard versus Mani Liebok. We got to see, both of them get out there. Renier, perhaps let me start with you. What is your overall thinking on our last game in Pool B anyway?
Thank you very much, Andile, and thank you to the listeners. Yes, my view is really, I think the match came out like I thought it would. In the first place, we had to chase the bonus point, which was very important to us in this specific match. It was a very difficult game. We must not underestimate the power of what the Tongans had, and I think we passed it in very well. The whole test. It was a good test for South Africa, and specifically a question that I had that was answered in this whole match is Dion Fourie at hooker. And Lawrence, you as a front row expert will talk to me about that, because we know he's a part-time hooker. He went on and he played the whole game. Yes, at the end, Marco came in and played a little bit of hooking, and Dion stayed there. But I think he did tremendously well. That was one of the things that was very good. I think that Williams on the wing, in a game like this, did very well. He's been played out of position, but we must also remember that he's one of the fastest players on the field. Well, he is the fastest player on the field for the Springboks. And he did well in that position. And the two the fly-off situation. Pollard did exceptionally well, and Liebok did exceptionally well. And we're not looking at kicks only, but the play in general was really good. And I think it made a few niggles go away. That if we look at the South African team, in total, I think it was a very good game. It was a test game, but it was also a practice game type of, if I can put it that way, because they could try out things that worked. And there are certain things that still niggle, things that didn't work. But in the overall, I think we did very well in this test.
Lawrence?
Yeah, no, good evening to listeners as well, to you guys as well. Certainly, me, I think as well, I agree with Renier that certain things were answered, but also a couple of questions were asked as to, are we 100% where we need to be, or was just a test, that testing that we actually need to work some more in order to get up? So first of all, if I break it down into simple terms, Dion Fourie did get that practice that he needed, and I think he's not a bomb squad material we used to, but supposedly when the game is loose and the game is not as intensively physical, at the time he would come on, make a lot of sense. And remember, he adds a lot of value in open play than actually just a scrum. So you know that extra loose forward mentality, he epitomizes that notion that he adds value to the loose forward conundrum when it comes to game of securing ball, stealing ball, getting involved. Obviously, the minute as well he went to flanker, you could see the difference what he does in open play, and obviously scrummaging was not on his shoulder and was not wearing him down. He was light on his feet. He obviously sort of a sigh of relief that he actually didn't believe he was so light after being in the tight five. It has to also give credit to that position. Like a lot of people think it's easy to become a hooker. It's not easy. Luckily for him, he's been there before, which is good. I think the Springboks are sort of covered. I would have thought still that third option is not 100% for me. Van Staden struggled a bit in the scrum, but it's also a scrum, a hooker who's just been converted. It's not easy and fair on him to sort of judge him according to proper hookers as well. If he's going to stick to that position, he probably needs to work hard and get a couple of things right going forward. It suits him because the height is perfect. But obviously what he does that, or is he going to continue with his position as a flanker at the post, that is left to be seen as well. And if I take it back, obviously with the lineup drives, I think it's either the Tongue has really brought the physical game. And
they really did. They really did.
And then which I think the Springboks appreciated. That means you need to go deeper and making sure that their bases are covered when it comes physical. Because remember now, there's a chance if Scotland upset Ireland somehow, there's a chance now we're going to actually have to face the All Blacks again, which I think in some way are somewhat back. But obviously they're playing Italy. Italy is not a bad team, but actually it just blew them off the park the way they were clinical. That's what was key for me to show that they're actually back. So you're going to actually underestimate them on your own peril when you meet them again, because it's not the same team you met in England. It's definitely going to be a different source of team. I think there's something that changed there. So we might actually come across them somehow, depending what happens between Scotland and Ireland. You know what I mean? That's the swap 1 and 2. I think Scotland still might not make it to qualify with the top 2. It's still going to be South Africa, Ireland. That's probably a positive change in that regard. And then when I go back to the Pollard issue, it was lovely to see, actually very lovely to see, besides the kicking is self-explanatory. I think what he also did, it inspired Manu Libok, because Manu Libok's kicking all of a sudden, overnight, the men can strike a ball as they're clean, and obviously clearly something is happening. The competition sometimes does that to you, get you out of the comfort zone to get going again. But remember now, these two guys mustn't get it confused. These two players offer the coaches different game plans. If you want to play with Pollard, it means your intention is to do something else. When I play with Libok, intention is to do something else. So those players are not the same. The different players that gives options to coaches. When they do select them, to them it's two players, top-notch players that they have. They can use at their own peril whenever they need to use them. So we mustn't get caught up in this thing, who's better, who's not better. They're not the same at the moment. Pollard is undercooked, and Libok is actually on medium rare. Probably a bit of burn. Get him 100%.
Yeah, but that was going to be my question. That was going to be my question, Lawrence, to say, I hear what you're saying, but let's take the kick and then put it aside, and let's take Mani's struggles with the kick before this game and put it aside, and then talk about the inside game now. The kicks within game, if you must, the line kicks and all of that. There's the influence on the game. You're saying they use differently, but I want to know, for my next starting 15, who is the better suited player now? Because clearly, I don't think they plan on using them both.
No, they have to use them both. One has to back the other.
I'm talking about in the same 15. They don't plan on using them in the same 15, which means one must use the other. So then who do you put up first?
No, it depends on what kind of game plan you want to play. You want to play a technical kicking game, hand back, kick corners, put the places in the right places, put the team in certain areas. Man Libo can do that well. That also you can run. But the problem is that what mandate are you going to give him on that day to actually implement? But then Pollard as well, if you want him to run, you can run flat, you can put it up, but you actually can be more physical as well. You're different players, but the coaches know the strength and the weaknesses as well. It depends what kind of game plan and who they play they want to put up. So if you want to put your best 15 right now, if you would ask me current form now, with your best 15, then Libok will definitely start as a 15 because he's a form flyer. He's fitter than Pollard at the moment, and kicking has got nothing to do with it. Basically, Pollard still need some more game time. I mean, it's not fair to even compare the two players. Pollard hasn't played rugby for a long time. You cannot compare to someone who's been playing rugby over a year. It's scientifically and physically not possible. But Pollard is a mentally strong guy. He's been at the top notch. He needs to switch on a couple of switches just to push himself to a certain level. He can manage. That's why the coaches know they have in him as well. So basically trying to put these two against each other, it's really not beneficial for South Africa currently. You need to see how South Africa is looking to play and how they need to actually use their flight positions in order to get ahead. Remember now, we are actually in the quarterfinals. You're not even worried of crossing over. Those who are worried, they should probably be just thinking, who are we facing? That's going to be depending from Scotland and Ireland.
Depending on that outcome, it'll then influence where we're going. Yeah. And I want you to have a thought while I speak to Renier quickly. Have a thought about how you're going to explain the permutations, because it's not just the points, but it's also, that we need to look at the score differences as well. But we'll get into that. Renier, from your point, I mean, it was a huge loss for many South Africans because, like we've said over and over, that Makazole Mapimpi is one of the favorite South Africans. Not even sports people. He's just one of those people that South Africans just have an attraction to and they love. 28th minute when that incident happened, we could all see that it was a bad one. Didn't expect him to be out of the tournament. It's a big blow, but also to have an arm come back, it's bittersweet, this entire thing.
Yes, absolutely, Andile. I think the whole nation, when we got the news that Makazole is out, and that he's out for at least 5 weeks, I think the whole nation really had a shiver. It's not to say that we in big trouble on the wing side, and that's why I think the call-up of Lucanio is a very good call-up to replace Makazole. It's the same as we got to it with Marx and getting Pollard to come in. Look, if both of those players are Pollard and weren't injured when the 33 was announced, they would have been in the team. And a person I spoke to today said to me, the gods must be crazy, but what's going on? I mean, we lost Marx, we lost Mapimpi, but the nice thing of it is the strength that we have in Springbok rugby at the moment. That the two replacements that we got, and the formation of the team itself, and with these, it could strengthen us. Because, Makazole is a wonderful winger, but we've got good wingers at the moment. And we've got good wingers that can go on the field. We've got good wingers that can go on the bench. So it is very bad for a person like Makazole getting hurt the way he got hurt. But I think we will make it with the team. I'm not that much worried. Just coming back to what Lawrence said, and Lawrence, I can't agree with you more. It's horses for courses. At the moment, Libbok is the inform fly-off. It's just for a day or what, forget the kicking. He did very well in his kicking now. And I think it was when the pressure was off that maybe there's a bit of work that they can do with him when the pressure is really on, like if we have to play New Zealand or if we have to play Ireland, that comes. But his general play is kicks. He's the informed player. And I think it would be wise to get somebody like Pollard on the bench and have Libbok to start in the next match. So that's just my view on the two of them. As you say, totally different game plans that could go through these guys. They're the general on the field, and that's very important. And Libbok passed in flying colours the time that he was on, and I was very happy for that. And the same with Pollard. For the game time he had 20 minutes at his club. And to come in now and play a game like this, I think he went on for 38 minutes, was very good. So we could just get better.
Rassi and our coach there, Jacques Nina, they're going to go down in history as people that are forever innovatively trying to rethink rugby in the way that they do things. With that being said, I'd really love to see them start in the way that was described last week and have both players on the field. But here's the big one now. Everybody's asking the question, are South Africa through to the knockout stages? What needs to happen if we're not? And can it still happen that we don't make it through? Lawrence, please give us the permutations. What is the current situation of Pool B?
No, Pool B is actually done and dusted. The two teams are going to go through, Ireland and South Africa. The only conundrum I was actually leading to, Ireland could drop points just to drop to second and South Africa goes on top if they happen to lose against Scotland. And because at this point in time as it stands, I think even if Scotland win with a bonus point and deny Ireland a bonus point, it will come to points difference, which I think Ireland at some point has got more. So the chances of Scotland really qualifying to they're the ones, they probably should go out there and enjoy themselves.
But they can still, Lawrence. That's important to say. I think, 21 plus points victory margin, then they can. It is possible, though.
Well, like I said, it is possible. I don't think it's doable against a team that's on form, number one team in the world. Think about it logically. The court really must be crazy to allow such to happen. But if it does happen, it doesn't affect us. So it means we're going to 1, they're going to 2, and we have to now play the All Blacks. It's going to be a South Koreans and then North Koreans, and then obviously that's the only difference that's going to happen when it concerns us. We should not be worried if we're going to the knockouts. We're going to the knockouts. The Europeans must sort out they are knocking out. They knock each other out to get to the knockouts. That's what needs to happen now.
Renier?
I agree with Lawrence. I think we can order the meat and the braais for the next over 2 weeks from now. But just braai before the time, and then you can talk afterwards. No, it is important. This Saturday's game between Ireland and Scotland, it's going to be a thriller. But I don't think it sits in Scotland to win. I think you had it right. They have to win with a margin of 20 points, and they have to get a bonus point. Then if Ireland gets a bonus point or a losing bonus point out of that, then we will all be on 15 points. Now, what happens then is Ireland will go through because they beat South Africa.
And they've already got a bigger margin as well. I think they're sitting on plus 122.
Yeah, the margin as well. But then we go back to the game, if we're all on 15, and then it still doesn't go to margins, because then the next step they take is South Africa beat Scotland. So then we are taking them out. It's only if they can get more on a margin with them. The only way they can do, if they can pull out Ireland, then they can go through. But they cannot pull us out, not at this stage, I think. So my personal feeling, like Lawrence, we're going to see Ireland and South Africa in the quarterfinals, and that's where the World Cup starts.
The other big match that South Africans are going to be watching over, of course, because it does somewhat affect what we're going to do. There's 2 matches. France taking on Italy. That's on Friday. So we need to be watching out for that match there in the last matches of Pool A. But also, the other big match then would be the New Zealand game too. I think New Zealand still have one more game to play, if I'm not mistaken, as well, because they're sitting on 3 games each. We're going to be watching those 2 games for different reasons. We're sitting here and we're wondering whether we're going to be first or second in that group, but also we're wondering who's going to be first and second in Pool A. Lawrence, I say this all the time. If you're the world champion, which we are, if you are the best team in the world, which we think we are, we might not be by rankings, but we think we are, then it shouldn't matter who we play next versus whether it's New Zealand or France, because both these teams have a little bit of an edge over us at the moment. We fear New Zealand. It's one of our biggest rivalry and competitors, yet France are at home at their own World Cup. It shouldn't matter. We shouldn't care who wins Pool A, surely.
No, I completely agree with you, Andile. It doesn't really matter who we play. To be honest, these are top 5 teams. All of those teams are capable of doing anything on the day. You cannot be underestimated, disrespected. So when you come up against them, you need to prepare very meticulously and target certain things. And they're different in certain ways. If you play France, you target certain things. You play New Zealand, you focus on certain things in order to get an advantage. So it just changes their planning, depending who gets where. At this point in time, as they look, sit and wait. They've got a bit of a break now. Maybe it's a good time to have a break in the end, so you can watch a lot of games and analyze and actually script your move forward. The technical stuff, are probably not going to be on a break as much as the players. The players need a bit of a break to detox and obviously just a slightly brains as well, the stress levels to drop them. So when they come back, they need to be rejuvenated and energized to take in whatever plan the coaches put in place so that they can execute and actually move forward. And I think I can't wait to see what these games are going to drop. So that we can throw the ball for us to chew as well. What kind of anger with the Springboks be looking at again. But I'm sure they've got plans for both teams. But the question is now, which one comes first?
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'd love to hear from you. The number is 086 000 2160. You can send us your WhatsApps as well on 060 552 7303. They're here. If you want to speak anything Springboks from the weekend or maybe even looking forward or any of the other nations in this Rugby World Cup, let's go for it. After a weekend of drama and upsets, the football action continues this week. With some big European fixtures, Rugby World Cup is heating up with the risk-free bet still on the table. Place any bet for the Boks to win the World Cup and get your money back if they don't. Simple, easy and effective. Don't forget Betway's Top Up Tuesdays where you get extra just for topping up today. All this and more only with Betway.
Visit betway.co.za to bet on every unforgettable sporting moment. Get way more with Betway.
Call us on 0860 00 2160. Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303 now.
Good afternoon, gents. Afternoon, Andy. Andile, me, I'm not too worried about our rugby team. I think as South Africans, we are just judging them on their mistakes. We are criticizing them way too much. But we're not seeing that each and every game, these people make mistakes and learn from them and actually improve from them. Look at the last game before this one. We had a kicking problem. And the game coming from now, 100% conversions. So now we must take note. Each and every team that plays against South Africa gives it their all because they know they're playing against the world champs and they give us a fight. Each and every game we're playing, we've been fighting, but we still win. I think we're going to go all the way. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey.
Andile Mfundo here from Cape Town. My question to the guys, on a game like Samoa, on a game like Tonga, where you know that you got Manelibok that hasn't been performing well to his level, do you think it's a wise idea to put him on the bench, knowing that it's a trial game, kind of a game for you as a coach, like Jeffrey Napa? Napa knew that it's a trial game. He need to trial some here and there to see combination if they are working. So why would you put then Mane on the bench? You know, I still think that Manelibok is setting the ball. Manelibok is being set to fail. Yes, Andre Pollard should have come in on the second half, and you should have started with Manelibok just to give him the momentum. Thank you.
Let's go to the player here. Let's go to the player here because I want to hear from Lawrence. Lawrence, what do you think of that? What does it do? Yes, when he came on, competition from Andre made him a better kicker than what we've seen at this particular World Cup. But what does it do for him and his confidence to have Haaland brought in, Pollard brought in, Andre Pollard brought in, and then he sits on the bench and comes on after Pollard had played? What does that do psychologically, or perhaps what does that do for his confidence?
No, actually does nothing, to be honest. Remember, they know what they've got in him as leaders. What they actually made it explicitly clear as well is like they said, what's his name, Pollard is undercooked. So you cannot start with someone who's hurt and come back with someone who's unfit. The standard of the game will drop. Rather start with the person who's undercooked. When he gets tired, it means the tempo is going to go up with the person that comes up. So that sometimes someone starting a game doesn't necessarily mean he's better than the one on the bench. Hence that whole bomb squad scenario that they started as Springboks themselves. For the first time now, the bomb squad scenario is going to be slightly altered. We need to come up with another word because the bomb squad is not the same as the bomb squad we used to. Because the players on the bench are not as good as the one that's starting. I'm talking about now just on the hooker position. But in terms of Pollard is a good player, but he's undercooked just to safeguard themselves. You don't want to end up now, your best player being injured and your secondary player is not setting up. That puts a lot of pressure on him to try to do magic and there's nothing to actually pull from. So to start with him, it actually helps him get into the game momentarily, pick up pace, pick up momentum as well at the same time, which I think would have got a lot of confidence. I mean, he played over half on 65 minutes in this game. For someone who hasn't played a lot already, that was pretty impressive because he got the exercise he needed. It was a physical game. It was a technical game that he needed to manage as well because things are not going to plan because those guys really came for us and they shut us down. So they really need to grab to work it out. They forced it. And usually the game plan that would have employed against them if they knew how they're going to come is the way they started in the second half.
Yeah.
That's how we needed to approach this game from minute one physically. Let Pollard keep in the back and watch a bit of rugby and only ask for the ball when it's ready cooked, when it's ready prepared. All the attack defenders are brought a bit closer to allow the better attack. But they got it backwards. But like I said, it's all about now management. He also is getting better. And next game will probably be better. But if they now have to be picked up for the next time in a crucial game, they will still not start Pollard because they will still not start Liebe.
I don't know, Lawrence.
No, hold on.
They will still start Pollard.
They would not. No. They can start Pollard.
The next game we're playing France and New Zealand. You're saying we'd start Pollard.
And said they're not starting Pollard because Pollard is better than Liebe. They're starting Pollard. If Pollard breaks down, nothing is lost. Actually, tempo is going to be picked up. Watch my space. If that's the case,
I'm going to hold you to it.
The other way around.
I'm writing this down and I'm holding you to it. I want to go
do it the other way around.
Yeah.
No, definitely do the other scenario. If they do not start with Pollard, it means they're happy with Pollard where he is currently, and whatever time they give him or whatever time they give him, they're happy to he actually finish that with a flourish. Then that's the only scenario they will probably go a different way.
Let's go to one of our favorite callers on Rugby Tuesday, Cici from Mpumalanga. Cici, you've listened to the conversation, you followed it, you waited to have this conversation on a Tuesday. Talk to me.
Yes, quite a good game against her. However, I just three areas of concern that just stood out for me.
Okay.
Our driving mode. Our driving mode seems like, defenders are able to actually disrupt that and get turnover balls. And then our box kicks. Our box kicks are seemingly not getting us anywhere. We tend to play these 50-50 balls. But we risk penalties there or actually injury because someone could actually take you out in the air. And then one thing I also noticed that we used to do, we no longer do, is actually playing for territory. If we're going to be playing France in the quarterfinals, I mean, we're going to have to be dealing with those long balls in our own territory. France actually forces you to play from or to attack from your own half. So I think there's times in the game whereby we need to vary our play and actually kick for territory. We used to do that quite.
Let's go to Renier, who's listening to this now. 55% territory the entire game versus 45%. You would have expected a little bit more. As far, or rather 47% is what it is, yeah? You'd expected a lot more playing a team like Tonga, but also you're worried about our mauls and our variation in the game. Renier?
Yes, it's true. I think we were, during commentary as well, we were quite worried about the mauls, especially because they pulled us down a few times and they did not really get punished for that. But I'm not really that worried. Tonga is really a stronger team
than
very
what physical,
than what we think. They are very physical. They're a bloody good team. And yes, I immediately when I hear this, I think back to 2007, also in France, when we really had to battle to win them. That time we didn't talk about a bomb squad. But we had to bring up all the big players, Bakis Botha, the Habanas of this world, in order to win that game. We only won it by 30 to 25, and it was a humdinger. And really, yes, talking about the malls, I think we could do better in the malls. But there was a few places where the referee didn't see that pull downs, which was on the line. I don't want to moan about the referee, but it wasn't, in my eyes, he wasn't one of the best referees that I've seen. Sometimes I thought he's not looking at the same game as I.
That's Mr. Luke Pierce, the referee on the day.
That's right. So yes, I don't want to get into that one specifically, but yeah, we still need work in our in our malls, but we can fix that. We can fix that definitely in the team.
Lawrence, Sisi's other concern is game variation. We don't have game variation where we're able to switch it up and, be more ball in hand, be more kicking, be more different variations of the game within that 80 minutes where we're able to switch it up. What are your thoughts on that?
No, just to reiterate what Renier was saying there. The mold is something that can be fixed, because I could clearly see the difference between a good mold and a bad mold. If you can take, for instance, when they took the ball in front and they threw the shortest guys in front next to the jumper, the suspension and the height of the setup of the mold was the lowest of the other molds that they were doing. So that's a clear indication that's something they need to really work on. And I also don't like their molds being that wide. You make your ball nice and streamlined, nice and long. It takes out those guys who are trying to swim on the side, try to hold on someone, try to pull them to get to the last person on the other side. It's made it very easy for guys to swim around. And let the referee don't get it right. Only one or two will probably just tell you, listen, I'm not going to deal with the swimming thing. Just go back to your position. A lot of them don't let it go. Legally you're allowed, if you hold on to one person and you manage to push that person into an offset position so that you can get where you need to get. So those are things they can fix. And obviously, when it comes to scrummaging, I think you can also fix that, especially when Monambi is starting next game. The scrummaging will be a lot better. It doesn't matter who they start, but as long as Monambi is in the middle, that can be sort of good. And on prop department, I don't think, obviously, Malado also had a break, so he'll be rejuvenated. He'll be charged as well, so he'll be good. In terms of variation, we do have variations. Remember now, when you want to play from your source, from your power source, if those things are not right, sometimes it's not worth actually going to a variation. If you go to variation, it's like you're really struggling with what you can do. So what you try to do, just shift guys or just move the ball in a different position and do it down and out and play and regroup for that plan. But the whole idea, when you close to a try line, the easiest thing to do is to get that drive right and make sure you get easy points. It's easy points when you're doing everything to your best of your abilities. Nice and low. You need to be lower than the other team. So if you're not, it's not going to happen. So it's very important. Those are the things that can work on. There are workables, it's visible workables they can fix. Obviously,
right.
Other things they can't fix is things they cannot, they haven't seen or things like that. But there's things that can be fixed. And I think mentally switch on much better, start a bit better. I think they'll be okay.
Sisi, thank you so much for that one. Let's go to Usbongaleni. Usbongaleni tried to get in a conversation. Even yesterday, he was so eager to speak about the rugby. He's all the way in Matafeni. Usbongaleni.
I want to start with my concern about the injuries in that Springbok team, especially Magazole and Mapimpi, because I've heard that Lucanio M might be back before the end of the tournament. And then coming to a starting lineup, the changes the coach made to start with Wandre Pollard and then putting Lokoze or Manile Bok on the bench, I think it's working our favor. And I'm very happy for Manile Bok for coming on and show that kind of performance. It shows that putting him on the bench didn't break him, but it gave him confidence that he must do better when he came on. And you can see that his performance was very, very good.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And perhaps since, ahead of the next match, Lawrence, you and I have had many conversations about this. So, Renier, let me bring it to you. The constant changes in the lineup, in the 15. We've seen teams like France, like New Zealand, like Ireland, when they're playing the so-called minnows, the so-called smaller teams, they're still putting out their strongest team out there. We're not the same. We've changed this team. We haven't allowed flow. We haven't allowed synergy. We haven't allowed there to be an understanding between the players. What do you make of the constant chopping and changing of the 15?
I think we're not...
Sorry.
No, go for it.
No, just a quick one. I wasn't sure if I wanted to speak to, but I'll just jump in quickly. I think the scenarios are different here, Andile. Remember, New Zealand is under pressure. the coach is under pressure. They really need to seem like they're doing things right. They need to seem like they're getting momentum. And it's working for them because they need to look like something that's developing, growing nicely. And when we look on our side, we are tweaking a team towards the best possible team for the first quarterfinal. That's where we were working towards. And literally, the games we've been playing, they were no-brainers for us. It was a winning situation. Probably Ireland and Scotland, something that we probably needed to put the possible best ones for those games and actually move it forward. But now going forward, I mean, you can see they do a lot of tweaking, a lot of players are improving, a lot of players are disappearing. But by the time they need to pick the best, you will see the best players that have actually picked to that certain extent.
Renier?
I totally agree. I think we had a lot of choppers changing in the lineup and the constant change of different players in these matches that go up. But you will see now from the quarterfinals, there's not going to be a lot of changes in the weekly team if we go through to the semis and to the final. I don't think there's going to be massive changes in the lineup. I think they've worked out their thing in the pool stages, and that is why we have minnow teams in the pool stages. I think it's one of the reasons in order to chop and change your lineup, give people a chance to play, and see where are they lying in your probability of playing them in the bigger games. So that is what happened in most of these games. So the chopping and changing, if we really look at the Ireland game and the Scotland game, the Ireland game, and now the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, the finals, there's not going to be a lot of changes, like 13 changes and 8 changes and stuff like that. It's going to be the same constant team, I'm sure about that.
Renier Swart is an SABC sports analyst who does his thing in Afrikaans, English, and in Setswana, sometimes all in one sentence. An absolute legend. Appreciate your time. And of course, a former Bok himself who played rugby in France as well, but speaks absolutely, 2% French. Laurent Sephaka joining us. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
They're out of here. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for allowing us to do this every single Tuesday. We didn't think there was an appetite for it, but clearly there is. Rugby taking over at the moment. The Lights, Camera, Action crew. And of course, the Sports Not Amplified crew as well. Today, Sisi Olapara. We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. Pela, and so me.